Dear students, welcome to the PowerPoint presentation of Physics for Class 12. Today we will start a new chapter, chapter number 4, which describes moving charges and magnetism. In this session, we will discuss about concepts of magnetism, magnetic force, motion in a magnetic field, Biot-Savart's law, cyclotron, and Ampere's circuit law. The background of moving charges and magnetism is very interesting. In the year 1820, Danish physicist Hans Christian Ørsted noticed that a current in a straight wire caused a noticeable deflection in a nearby magnetic compass needle. After extensive research, he concluded that moving charges or currents produce a magnetic field in the surrounding space. Following this, there was intense experimentation, and later in the year 1864, the laws obeyed by electricity and magnetism were unified and formulated by James Maxwell, who then realized that light was a magnetic wave. Radio waves were discovered by Hertz and subsequently produced by G. Marconi by the end of 19th century. A remarkable scientific and technological progress took place in the 20th century due to increased applications and inventions based on electromagnetism, like devices for production, amplification, transmission, and detection of electromagnetic waves. And all these details we are going to study during our course of physics studies. And before we start, let us go through the conventions followed in studies of moving charges and magnetism. The conventions are: number one, a current or a field, that is electric or magnetic field, emerging out of a plane of a paper is depicted by a dot. Here the violet color dots are shown. Here it indicates the current or a field, that is electric or magnetic, emerging out of the plane of the paper. Out of the plane of paper is depicted by a dot. These are all the dots. Similarly, a current or a field going into the plane of paper is depicted by a cross. This is the cross. So, this is going into the plane of the paper and this is coming out of the plane of paper. This is the convention followed. In section 4.1, we will study concepts of magnetic field. Oersted's observation. Oersted observed that magnetic field is produced around a wire carrying electric current. Means he said, if a wire is carrying a current, then magnetic field is produced around it. If a current is passed through a conducting wire, this is the conducting wire which is kept parallel to a magnetic needle. This is the magnetic needle indicating south pole and north pole. This is the magnetic needle. The needle gets deflected. That is, if a current is passed through the wire, though this is not touching the wire, this gets deflected, and it gets aligned perpendicular to the length of wire. That is perpendicular to the length of wire. This field becomes perpendicular to the length of wire. When the current was reversed, earlier current was passing from right to left, Now, when it is reversed, current is reversed by reversing the polarities of the battery. If the current is passed from left to right, the needle deflects in the opposite direction. Okay, so earlier if it was getting deflected to left, now in this case, in the second case, it gets deflected to the right. Weierstrass also observed that the strength of deflection depends on the magnitude of electric current. That is, the strength of deflection, the force or the strength of the deflection depends on the magnitude of the electric current and the distance between the wire and the needle. Suppose this is very close to the wire, the magnetic needle is close to the wire, the deflection is more, and if it is away, deflection is less. These are the observation of Weierstrass. In Ampere's swimming rule, we will study the direction of the magnetic field and electric current. Ampere's swimming rule says that if a man swims along the wire carrying a current such that his face is directed towards the magnetic needle, with current entering his feet and leaving his head, then the north pole of the magnetic needle is always deflected towards his left. In its simplest form, he says, it is an imaginary situation that if a man is swimming with his face directed towards the needle, magnetic needle, if the current enters the feet and leaves the head, then the north pole of the magnetic needle is always deflected towards his left. This was the swimming rule to know the direction of the magnetic field or magnetic deflection in the magnetic needle. Now, in this section 4.2, we will study magnetic force, magnetic field and Lorentz force. An electric charge produces an electric field. This we have studied in our previous chapters, whereas the current or moving charges produce both electric and magnetic field. This field, magnetic field, is denoted by vector B, and it has several basic properties identical to the electric field. In chapter number 1, 2 and 3, we have studied about electrostatic charges and electric field represented by letter E. Now, in this chapter, when we are studying magnetic field, this magnetic field is produced because of moving charges. This is moving charges which produces both electric and magnetic field. So, static charges produce electric field and moving charges produce both electric and magnetic field. It has several basic properties identical to the electric field. Let us suppose that there is a point charge q moving with a velocity v and located at r, at a distance r, at a given time t in the presence of both electric and magnetic field. The force on the electric charge q due to both of them can be written as, so there is a point charge q which is moving with a velocity v and located at a point r at any given time in the presence of both electric and magnetic field. The force on an electric charge q due to both of them can be written as F is a vector, F equals q into, open the big bracket, E, this is the electric field, plus the effect of V cross B. V is the velocity, B is the magnetic field. So, this is the force equation F is equal to Q into E plus V cross B. This component Q into E is the force due to electric field, and the other component V cross B into Q is a magnetic field. Let this be equation 4.1a. Please see the figure. These quantities given in equation 4.a are drawn in this figure. Here it shows this is the force F. Force F is perpendicular to the plane, and here the magnetic field B is also perpendicular to F at 90 degrees. Velocity, whereas the velocity, which is also a vector, is making an angle theta with respect to the magnetic field, plus Q is the charge. So, in this equation F is equal to Q into E plus V cross B is drawn here, plus Q. F is the force here, plus Q is the charge at the center, and B is the field density, and a velocity vector V is making an angle theta. So, this is 90 degrees. F and B are at perpendicular to each other. Now, the same thing is also shown in another figure on the right side, where we have taken here only positive charge was there. Here we have shown for negative as well as the positive charge. When the positive charge is there, B is coming out of this plane perpendicular to F. F and B are perpendicular, and V is perpendicular to both V and F at vertical direction, and it is trying to move on the right hand side if the charge is positive. Whereas, in the case of a negative charge, F is in the opposite direction, this direction, that is here as I am showing. B remains same, V also remains same, but the effect of force and velocity, it takes a turn towards the left, that is it gets straighter. This is the diagram shown and representing force, magnetic field, charge and vector and the angles. The force was first given, this force was first given by Lorentz, H. A. Lorentz, based on extensive experiments of Ampere and others. Scientists Ampere and Lorentz and others conducted a number of experiments, and they came to conclusion of this. This force F is called the Lorentz force. Please remember, F is called Lorentz force. Hence, this and if we analyze this equation, we will know that the magnetic force F depends on Q, that is the charge, velocity V and magnetic field B. So, F is a function of charge, electric field, velocity and magnetic field. On a negative charge, the force is opposite to that of a positive charge. So, when Q is positive, the F is in this direction. When Q is negative, the charge is negative, the force is in the opposite direction. The magnetic force Q into V cross B. See here we have got a component F magnetic, which is equal to Q into V into B, includes a vector product of velocity and magnetic field. So, the magnetic force includes a cross product vector V into vector B, V cross B. The force F acts in a direction perpendicular to both velocity and magnetic field. So, here as shown in the figure, F is perpendicular to B as well as V. Its direction is given by right hand rule or vector product as shown in the figure. It is given by the right hand rule. Here this is the right hand rule, and F is pointing towards the thumb, that is upper side, and B and V are shown on the curved portion. This is called the right hand rule. Now, let us define magnetic field B. A magnetic field is defined in terms of force Fb, that is force due to magnetic field acting on a test particle with charge q moving through the field with a velocity v. So, magnetic field is defined as a force acting on a unit test charge q and producing a velocity v. Therefore, this equation can be written as, here the component of F magnetic is taken, F is equal to q into V cross B, that is equal to, if we find a cross product of V cross B, it becomes q into VB sin theta, and n is the normal to both velocity and magnetic field. Let this be equation 4.1b. The SI unit of magnetic field is Tesla, represented by letter T. 1 Tesla is equal to 1 Newton per ampere meter, that is equal to 10 to the power of 4 Gauss, where B is the magnetic field intensity. This force is F is perpendicular to magnetic field intensity as well as the velocity. So, let us revise. The magnetic field, a current or a moving charge produces both electric and magnetic field, and it has properties similar to that of electric field. The equation for force in presence of a magnetic and electric field is given by F is equal to q into E plus V cross B, and magnetic field B is defined in terms of force acting on a test particle with a charge q moving through the field with velocity v. Therefore, F magnetic is given by F is equal to q into V cross B. Removing the vector signs, we can write it as q into V B sin theta n hat, where q is the charge, V is the velocity, B is the magnetic field, and theta is the angle between B and velocity, that is magnetic field at the velocity as shown in the figure. The SI unit of magnetic field B is Tesla, and these three forces are perpendicular to each other. Now, let us find out the magnetic force on a current carrying conductor. Consider a rod of uniform cross sectional area A and length L. Let n be the number of charge carriers in the conductor. Then the total number of carriers, that is mobile carriers, electrons and positive charges in the conductor is given by n into L into A, where n is the number of charge carriers, I is the current in the conductor, and average drift velocity is Vd. In the presence of an external magnetic field B, the force on these carriers is given by n into L into A q into Vd into cross B. N into L into F is given by, force is given by n into L, length of the conductor, A is the cross sectional area, q is the charge, Vd is the drift velocity cross into B. But we know from our previous knowledge and studies, the current I is given by n is the number of electrons or number of charge carriers into A cross sectional area into Q into Vd. Please see the equation given in this box. So, if you substitute I is equal to n into A into Q into Vd, that is n into I into n into L into A, n into A into Q into Vd, then we will get equation FIL into cross B. So, So, F is equal to IL cross B. This is the equation for force on a current carrying conductor. Direction of L, this is the vector L, is same as current I. This equation F is equal to ILB can also be written as F is equal to sigma I into Lj vector into cross B. Lj is the whole length of the conductor. So, these equations are repeated once again. F is equal to IL cross B. Let it be equation 4.38. And similarly, this equation is written as F is equal to sigma I into Lj into cross B. This is the equation 3.b. Current element. As we know, current element produces magnetic and electric field. A current element is a very small element AB of length dl of a thin conductor carrying current I is called a current element. That is, it is nothing but a thin conductor element of length L carrying a current I. Current element is a vector quantity. Current is a scalar, but current element is a vector quantity whose magnitude is equal to the product of current and length of small element, having direction of flow of current. A current carrying conductor has magnetic field. A current carrying conductor has a magnetic field and not an electric field around it. On the other hand, a charge moving with a uniform velocity has an electric as well as magnetic field around it. An electric field cannot be produced without a charge, whereas magnetic field can be produced without a magnet. No poles are produced by a coil current, but such a coil shows north and south pole characteristics. So, current carrying will not produce any poles, but coil shows north and pole characteristics. The principle of superposition. The magnetic field of several sources is the vector of addition of magnetic field of each individual sources. If there are a number of sources which are contributing for the magnetic field, they can be simply added. And all oscillating and accelerating charges produce electric magnetic fields as well as electromagnetic waves. That is, when charges are accelerated, then it produces both electric, magnetic and electromagnetic waves. In magnetic field, let us consider motion of a charged particle in a uniform magnetic field. That is, the charged particle is plus q here. It is moving in a uniform magnetic field that is indicated by letter B. This cross marking across here shows that the direction of magnetic field is into the plane of the paper. So, this charge magnetic field produce and velocity, charge moving means it produces a velocity v and there is a magnetic field B. Due to this, a force is produced. This force F is given by, as we have seen in the previous section, force is given by QV cross B. V is perpendicular to B. This is velocity is perpendicular to the B and it acts as a centripetal force and thus produces a circular motion as shown in the below. That means the force, the interaction between V, B and force produces a centripetal force and results in a circular motion as shown in the figure. By applying Newton's second law to the circular motion, we get Q, charge into velocity into B, equals mv square by r, where r is the radius of the circle. So QVB produces a uniform motion, circular motion given by mv square by r. Therefore, rearranging for value of r is given by v and v, one v here and one v get cancelled. So it remains mv by qb, this q into b. In this is the equation for the radius of the circle. Here the radius is shown as r, small r, and it is given by the relation r is equal to mv by q into b. Therefore, we will repeat these equations so that you can remember it very well. And we have highlighted it. QVB is equal to mv square by r, where q is the charge, v is the velocity, b is the magnetic field. That is equal to mv square by r. That is due to the motion of the circular motion in an electric field. So this is given by equation 4.4 here. So r can also be written as, r is written as r is equal to mv divided by qb. This is equation 4.4b. So this equation indicates that the radius of circle, that is the motion of a charged particle, is circular one. Second point is radius is proportional to the mass into the velocity of the charge, and it is also inversely proportional to charge and magnetic field. So radius is proportional to mass and velocity, and r is proportional to, radius is also inversely proportional to 1 over qb, that is charge into magnetic field. Thus, the larger the momentum, the radius is bigger. Radius is bigger. Therefore, t is equal to, the timing of motion is given by the equation t is equal to 2 pi m divided by b into q. So, f frequency, the equation for frequency of oscillations or motion is given by f is equal to 1 over t, that is equal to inverse of this, that is pq by 2 pi m. So the frequency of revolution is f and the angular velocity is omega. Omega is the angular velocity, and the period of motion t are given by three different equations. That is, frequency of revolution is equal to omega over 2 pi, where omega is the angular velocity, and it is given by omega is equal to 2 pi f. F is equal to 1 over t, that is the reciprocal of the time or the period of motion. Therefore, period of motion is t is equal to 1 over f. The third equation is f is equal to pq over 2 pi m. These are the three equations. So let us repeat the lessons learned in this section 4.4. Consider a motion of charged particle in uniform field. The charges plus q are the charges in a magnetic field B. Here magnetic field is perpendicular to the velocity vector and as well as f. All the three are mutually perpendicular to one another. By applying these forces act on the charge, the force QVB acts as a centripetal force which we have studied in our mechanics, which produces a circular motion as shown below. By applying Newton's second law to the circular motion, we get QVB equals mv square by r, where r is the radius of the circle. Hence, r, by rearranging this equation, we get r is equal to mv by qb. That is, m is the momentum. Therefore, QVB is equal to mv square by r is the first equation. R's value is r is equal to mv by qb is the equation 4.4. Hence, from this equation, we can conclude the radius of the circular motion, this is the radius of circular motion, is directly proportional to the momentum and velocity. And it is r is also inversely proportional to 1 over charge and magnetic field, magnitude of the charge and magnetic field. Thus, the larger the momentum, if larger momentum is large, the radius of the circle is bigger the circle. Therefore, the period of motion t is given by the equation 2 pi m divided by bq. And f, that is one reciprocal of period of motion, or the frequency of revolution, f is given by 1 over t, that is equal to bq divided by 2 pi m. The frequency of revolution can also be expressed in terms of angular velocity omega and period of motion t in any of the following forms. F is equal to omega over 2 pi, that is angular velocity omega is equal to 2 pi f. F is also given by f is equal to 1 over t, that is f can also be expressed as 1 over t, where t is the period of motion and it is equal to 1 over f, that is reciprocal of f, frequency of revolution. F can also be expressed as f is equal to qb divided by 2 pi m. Now in section 4.5 we will study about Biot-Savart's law. Please see the figure on the right hand side. The Biot-Savart's law says that the magnetic field dB due to a small current carrying element dl carrying a current I is directly proportional to the strength of the current, perpendicular length of the conductor, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the current element to the point where magnetic field is determined. Please read this law once again. This law states that magnetic field dB to a small current carrying element dl, this is the dl, small current carrying element dl, is directly proportional to the strength of the current. This is the current passing through the wire or the conductor. I is the current flowing from bottom to top in this direction. This magnetic field is proportional to dl and the current carrying element, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance. If r is the distance from the point where we are trying to find the magnetic field, then the magnetic field is inversely proportional to the square of the distance from the current element to the point where magnetic field is determined. So, writing it in terms of equations, dB is proportional to the current I, that is magnetic field density is proportional to the current. dB is also proportional to the current element dl sin theta, this is dl sin theta, and dB is inversely proportional to 1 by r square. So, this is again repeated with highlight. dB proportional to I, dB proportional to dl sin theta, that is it is also proportional to the angle between the current element and the distance element. So dB is also proportional to 1 over r square. The above relationships are expressed in vector form. That is, they can also be expressed as in the vector form as dB. Vector dB is equal to, removing the proportionality sign, we substitute it by a constant mu naught over 4 pi into I dl. I is the current directly here and dl is the component dl sin theta. That is, we have substituted into r. We are writing dl cross r divided by r cube. Please note here, though the proportionality is 1 over square, we are here multiplying in the numerator with r and dividing by r. So denominator becomes r cube. So this becomes, the numerator becomes IDL cross r. That is to express it as a cross product between dl and r, the radius vector, distance vector. This is the Biot-Savart's law, whose statement we just did. Therefore, in vector form, dB is equal to mu naught over 4 pi, which is a constant proportional to the current I dl cross r divided by r cube. This is equation 4.1a. R is a vector that points from element to the P. See, this is the current element and R is the distance between P and the dl. Mu naught is called the permeability constant of free space. It is a constant called permeability constant of free space, and its value is given by mu naught is equal to 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus Tesla meter per ampere, or 1.26 into 10 to the power of minus 6 Tesla meter per ampere. Therefore, magnitude of dB, vector dB, magnitude is written as mu naught over 4 pi into I dl sin theta by r square. That is, dl cross r is written as dl sin theta and r into r. So r gets cancelled and r square comes back. Therefore, magnitude of dB equals mu naught over 4 pi I dl sin theta divided by r square. Let this be equation 4.1b. So we will explain about this equation. Theta is the angle between the direction of current and r. See, this is the direction of the current is flowing in this direction and r is in direction. So theta is the angle between r and the current, direction of current. The SI unit of magnetic field is Weber meter per meter, Webers per meter or Tesla. The details of these units we will study in coming chapters. The CGS unit of magnetic field is Gauss. 1 Gauss is equal to 10 to the power of minus 4 Tesla. The direction of magnetic field is that of I dl cross r. The direction of magnetic, please remember, it is perpendicular to I dl cross r. Please remember these equations and the numerical values of mu naught. Numerical value of mu naught, that is 4 pi into 10 to the power of minus 7, as well as the CGS Gauss is equal to 10 to the power of minus 4 Tesla. This will be required in solving numerical problems. Applications of Biot-Savart law. First case is magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor. This is a current carrying conductor shown vertically and a current is passing I from bottom to top. This direction shows that current is flowing from bottom to top. Consider a conductor carrying a current I as shown in the figure. P is a point at a distance A. This is the distance A perpendicular. This is straight conductor and perpendicular is this point P is located at a perpendicular distance A from the conductor. By Biot-Savart's law, magnetic field intensity due to this current element. Here there is a blue colored current element IDL. I is current passing through it and its length is DL. The magnetic field intensity due to current element IDL is given by Biot-Savart's law as dB. That is magnetic small dB is given by mu naught over 4 pi IDL sin theta divided by r square. This we have studied in our previous section. Please note this sign, cross sign. This shows that the direction of magnetic field is into the plane of paper. Now we have to geometrically analyze some of the parameters given in this equation. Here sin theta. Sin theta is here. So sin theta is opposite side by hypotenuse. That is A. Opposite side to this angle is A and hypotenuse is R. So if you see this, there is another angle phi here. Phi subtended between the distance dl, the vector r and the perpendicular distance phi. So it is given by L is the opposite side, L is this distance divided by hypotenuse R. That is equal to, if you take cos phi, it is adjacent side. For phi, it is adjacent side. Therefore, adjacent side by hypotenuse is A by R. So, sin theta is equal to cos phi by this geometrical relationship. There is another parameter we have to find, tan phi. Here tan phi is equal to opposite side by adjacent side, that is equal to L by A. Therefore, I equals IA, L equals, therefore L is equal to, this is L, please don't mistake it as I, this is L. L equals A tan phi. And if we differentiate this equation, L is equal to A tan phi, we will get dl is equal to A secant square phi. So please remember, as we have to substitute these quantities and these evaluation in this equation. That sin theta is equal to A by R equal to cos phi. Cos phi is the angle here and theta is the angle here. Tan phi is also given by equation L is equal to A tan phi by from the geometry of this triangle. Therefore, differentiating this, we get dl is equal to A secant squared phi. These values we will substitute in this equation. Substituting these values, we get constant mu naught over 4 pi, we will retain as it is, I is I, and we are writing dl is equal to A sin squared phi from this relationship, and sin theta we will retain and substitute in the next line. Therefore, r square as it is. So here sin theta we are substituting as cos phi. Therefore, the above equation becomes mu naught over 4 pi into I cos phi d phi divided by A. So that equation becomes dB is equal to mu naught over 4 pi I, because it is a current and a scalar product we are taking out, and integrating cos phi d phi. Cos phi is varying from this side to up to side. So cos phi d phi integral phi 1 to phi 2 cos phi d phi divided by A. That becomes integral of dB becomes magnetic field B, that is given by mu naught I over 4 pi R into sin phi 1 plus sin phi 2. This is the equation for magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor. here phi 1 and phi 2 are the two ends of the point angle. This is the phi 1. If one end of the conductor is bottommost, so the angle subtended from pi to the bottom is phi 1. This is the phi 1, and phi 2 is the top end, from P to the top end of the conductor. So where phi 1 and phi 2 are angles from point P to the ends of the conductor as shown. Now, having studied the magnetic field due to a straight current carrying conductor, now we will find magnetic field due to a circular loop at the axial point. Please see the figure, this figure given below. This is a circular loop at axial point. This is a circular loop carrying a current I. I is shown here, and current is flowing in the clockwise direction here. Okay. We have to find magnetic field at a point P, which is located at a distance x from the center. This is the center of the circular loop, and its distance is x. Let there be a circular loop of radius r. This is a capital R carrying a current I. Let P be a point at axial distance x from the center of the coil as shown in the figure. The magnetic field at P due to small element dl. Here please analyze this circuit first. There is a current carrying element dl which produces a magnetic field dB. Say like this, dB. This element produces a field perpendicular to this one plane of the paper, a dB, at an inclined angle. So at an angle phi. So this has got two components, dB cos phi and dB sin phi. dB sin phi is along x-axis or horizontal, and dB cos phi is vertical along y-axis. So because of the symmetry of the figure or the loop, circular loop, there is yet another element dl at the bottom. It gives electric field dV like this in the dotted, shown as a dotted line. This dB also has got a vertical component but pointing downwards, that is dB cos phi. So dB cos phi is pointing downwards. It has got another horizontal component which is along x-axis. This is also dB sin phi. So the two horizontal components are in the same direction, whereas the vertical components dB cos phi due to the topmost element is vertically up, and whereas the other due to the bottom current element is down. Therefore, these equations, because of the same conditions, get cancelled. This is up gets cancelled with the down, but the horizontal components dB sin phi and dB sin phi get added up. Therefore, we have to find only dB sin phi. Therefore, dB is given by mu naught over 4 pi IDL sin phi divided by r square x square. Please note down this r square plus x square is the substitute for the denominator r square, which in this due to the geometry is given by square root of r square plus x square as the distance between dl and p. See, this is the distance between P to dl, that is square root r square plus x square. That is again given by mu naught I remains same, divided by 4 pi r square plus x square into r. Here we will calculate the geometrical equations, that is sin phi is equal to phi is the angle, sin phi is equal to opposite side by hypotenuse, that is capital R by square root of r square plus x square sin phi, and similarly r square, that is small r is equal to, this is divided by r square is equal to square root of r square plus x square. Integral dl is the circumference of this circular loop. Integral dl is given by 2 pi r. We know from our mathematical relationship that circumference of dl is equals 2 pi r. So we are substituting dl as 2 pi r in our normal equations. Please remember this will be helpful in analyzing it. Hence b is given, integrating we will get integral of db is equal to b into mu naught I over 4 pi into r divided by r square plus x square, this r square plus x square, these two, this is r square plus x square plus half, it becomes 3 by 2. These two when we combine, it becomes r square plus x square whole to the power of 3 by 2 and integral dl is 2 pi r. Therefore, equation for magnetic field due to a circular loop at axial point P is given by the relationship B is equal to mu naught I r square, this r into r square divided by 4 into r square plus x square whole to the power of 3 by 2. Now we will study about cyclotron and synchrotron. Please see the figure. Cyclotron consists of two hollow D-shaped objects. This is D1, this is D1 and this is D2 made of copper. P is a source of charged particles or ions which move in a circular path. See, this is the circular path of the charged particles. Ions. These charged ions move between the D-shaped objects, Ds, it is called Ds, in a circular path. The Ds are immersed in a magnetic field. B is equal to 1.5 Tesla, whose direction is out of plane paper. See the dots here, it is out of the paper. So this magnetic field is coming out of the plane of the paper, and that is set up by a large electromagnetic. This magnetic field is due to a large electromagnetic element. An alternating voltage source accelerates these ions to high speeds. So when these ions are moving like this, because of the effect of oscillator, they gain energy and they obtain energy and move with a very high velocity. The ions are eventually extracted at the exit port. So they start from point V and move in a circular motion under the influence of a magnetic field and electric field. A magnetic field is due to a large bar magnet, and this electric field is due to these oscillators. So these charged ions move under a magnetic field and an electric field and gain energy and change their direction, and ultimately they come out in the exit port. This is the construction of a cyclotron. Cyclotron is a machine used to accelerate the charged particles or ions to a very high energies. That is, we are transferring energy, electrical and magnetic energy due to the field. We are transferring charge to the ions. It uses both electric and magnetic field in combination to increase the energy of charged particles. These fields are perpendicular to each other. So magnetic field is perpendicular to the electric field. Hence these fields are perpendicular to each other and are called cross fields. Period of revolution T is given by 1 over nu c, that is equal to 2 pi m by qb, as we have derived in the previous section. Therefore, kinetic energy of ions is equal to mv square by 2, that is equal to q square b square r square by 2m. So the equation for q square b square by 2m, where r is the radius of the path. There is an upper limit to the attainable energy as the speed of particle approaches to that of light. These energies are these charged particles with high energies are required in experiments of physics. Since there is a upper limit to the attainable energy as the speed of particle approaches that of light, there is another machine called synchrotron which uses both electric and magnetic field and program to change cyclically so that particle not only can go to high energies but also do so at constant orbital radius. This is the advanced version and modified version of cyclotron principle. So, cyclotron and synchrotron are the examples of machines which use combined electric and magnetic field to charge ions to a very high energies. Hence, we will revise. Cyclotron consists of two hollow D-shaped plates D1 and D2 made of copper. P is the source of charged particle which generate charged particle and they move in a circular path between D1 and D2 consecutively. The Ds are immersed in magnetic field whose direction is out of the page, and that is set up by a large electromagnet which is not visible but only field is shown here by dots. An alternating source of voltage is source voltage through oscillator accelerates these ions to very high speeds. So when they start and they accelerate with a high speeds, these ions are eventually extracted at the exit port. This is the configuration of a cyclotron. A cyclotron is a machine used to accelerate the charged particles to high energies which are required in physics experiments. It uses both electric and magnetic fields in combination to increase the energies of charged particles. These fields are perpendicular to each other and are called cross fields. Period of revolution is given by T is equal to 1 over nu c, that is equal to 2 pi m by qb. Cyclotron frequency is given by nu c, that is equal to qb over 2 pi m, and kinetic energy is given by mv square by 2 equals q square b square r square divided by m. R is the radius of the path. There is a limitation of cyclotron as there is an upper limit to the attainable energy level as the speed of the particle approaches. As it reaches higher frequencies near to the speed of the light, velocity of light, then it does not function. Hence, a modified version or a synchrotron is used which gives both magnetic and electric oscillator frequency FOC, and these are programmed to change cyclically so that the particle not only can go through high energies but also do so at constant orbital radius. Ampere's circuital law. Ampere's circuital law states that the line integral of magnetic induction over a closed loop of magnetic field is equal to mu naught, that is permeability, times the total current passing through the closed circuit path. Please see the figure on the right hand side. Here there is a conductor at the center of the plane carrying current I which goes from bottom to top. Due to this current, magnetic field is set up around it. Hence, the line integral of magnetic, the Ampere circuital law says that line integral of the magnetic induction over a closed loop in a magnetic, this is a closed loop in a magnetic field, is equal to mu naught times the total current passing through the closed path. That is, in the simplest form, it is integral, line integral B dot dl is equal to mu naught I. This is nothing but Ampere's law. So if someone asks what is Ampere's law, Ampere's circuital law is line integral B dot dl equals mu naught I. Here this is also represented in this figure. Here the conductor is at the center, which is going into the plane of the paper, and this is the magnetic field around it. This is the radius of the circle is R. dl is the current element, is the element. B is the magnetic field, dl is the small element, and mu naught is the absolute permeability of space. I is the current. The line integral in this equation is evaluated around a closed loop called an Amperian loop. So, the line integral is evaluated through the closed loop called Amperian loop. The current I is the net current encircled by the loop of any size and shape. Relation between relation is independent of the distance from the conductor. Hence, you please see there is no term in terms of the distance from the conductor. Proof. Let us prove Ampere's circuital law. So, we will take the left hand side, that is integral B dot dl. B dot dl, we know from our knowledge of mathematics, is the integral B dot dl cos 0, because the angle is 0 here. So, B is a constant. So, B, the value magnitude of B is taken out, and we are finding out the integral dl. But we know integral dl for a circle is 2 pi r. So, that the right hand side becomes B into 2 pi r. That is, value of B is B equals mu naught I over 2 pi r. That is equal into 2 pi r. So, integral d pi r, dl is 2 pi r. So, here 2 pi r gets cancelled. Hence, integral B dot dl is equal to mu naught I. This is nothing but Ampere's circuital law, right hand side of the Ampere's circuital law. Some typical case, magnetic field for an infinite length of conductor. It is given by, as we know, as we have proved previously, B dot dl is equal to mu naught I, or B into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught I. Therefore, if P is at the center of the conductor, B is given by mu naught into I over 2 pi r. That is simple, this equation. B is equal to mu naught I over 2 pi r. That is when here the P is at the center of the conductor. If this point P is near the one end of the conductor, the top one end, top or bottom of the conductor, it is given by the equation mu naught I over 4 pi r. Let us find out magnetic field due to a current carrying conductor. There are two cases. One is when the conductor is a hollow, that is inside this is a hollow cylinder shape. There is nothing in between in the center. Only the metallic portion is outside. It is hollow in the center. So the first case we will take a long hollow cylinder and find the magnetic field due to current carrying conductors. Let there be a hollow cylindrical conductor of radius r carrying a current I, and P be a point of radius r. See here, P is a point of radius r and on the surface of the conductor, hollow conductor. At a distance x, this r on the at a distance x from the axis. This is the axis of the cylinder and x is the distance. X we have taken instead of capital R due to three cases. We will examine three cases in here. That is, at the center, x when x is less than r, when x is equal to r, and when x is greater than r. Three cases. First case when x is less than r, and when x is equal to r, and when x is greater than r. Three cases arise here in case of a long hollow circular cylinder. Ampere's circuital law says when X is less than R, that is this case 1, less than R, I is equal to 0 because current is carried outside. Hence, the current here will be 0 and B is 0 here. Therefore, inside that, when X is inside the hollow cylinder, the current is 0, magnetic field is 0. In the case 2, when X is equal to R, this is the case 2, this is X is equal to R, P is located at a distance capital R. Hence, integral B dot dl is equal to mu naught I, we know from Ampere's circuital law. Therefore, B is given by mu naught over the distance is 2 pi r. The radius of the circle is 2 pi r. Therefore, in the case 2, B is given by, in this case, mu naught I over 2 pi r. In case number 3, when P is located outside the conductor, hollow circular conductor, when P is greater than R, it is given by B is equal to mu naught over 2 pi into 1 over X. These are the three equations for magnetic field due to current carrying conductors. Now let us take the second case where the cylindrical conductor is a solid. Earlier it was hollow, inside there was nothing, but here it is totally filled with the conducting material. That is a copper. You can imagine it as a very thick copper conductor. Here entirely it is a copper conductor. So in this case we will try to find out what is the magnetic field. Case 1, as in the case of earlier, here X is less than R. This is the X is less than R. Therefore, I is equal to I into X square by R square. That is from the dimensions of the conductor. Therefore, B is equal to mu naught over 2 pi into Ix divided by R square. Case number 2. When X is equal to R, so therefore integral B dot dl is equal to mu naught I. That is equal to B equals mu naught I over 2 pi R. Case number 3. When X is greater than R, that is this X is greater than, B is given by equation mu naught over 2 pi into I by X. X is the radius, the distance from center to the point P. These are the three cases. So we will repeat this. Solid cylindrical conductor, case 1, when X is less than R, I is given by I into X square by R square. Therefore, B is equal to mu naught into Ix. We are substituting the values of I. Mu naught I into X divided by 2 pi R square. Therefore, in case 2, when X is equal to R, that is on the surface, it is given by B into dl mu naught I, or B is equal to mu naught I over 2 pi R. In case number 3, when X is greater than R, value of B is given by B is equal to mu naught I over 2 pi X. Case number 4. When inside the cylinder, the current is uniformly distributed throughout the cross section of the cylinder. That is, inside this cylinder, the value of current does not change at the center to outside. It is uniform. When inside the cylinder, current is B is given by mu naught mu R into I X divided by 2 pi R cube. Here we are taking the permeability, change in permeability due to the material of the medium. Mu naught is permeability of free space and mu is the permeability of the material of the cylinder. Hence, in the case number 4, when we take the permeability of the medium, then B is given by B is equal to mu naught mu R Ix divided by 2 into pi R cube. This is the equation. Please go through all these equations once again. We come to the conclusion of part 1 of the chapter 4 on moving charges and magnetism. Please go through the lectures and contents of the physics equations and concepts, and it will be helpful for your examinations. Thank you.